Okay. Hey everyone, this is Jennifer Pertner, and I am going to be doing boot camp part 3 today, the booking process. I'm really excited to go through these slides and show everybody how you can work this in with your business to get you through the whole process. All right, so bootcamp part 3, booking process. So before you even have any kind of client coming in, you want to have a few things set up. So some of the things that you're going to do is you're going to, sorry, my son came in. All right, we're going to talk about preparation with suppliers. We're going to talk about researching the and preparing the quote, and we're going to talk about after the quote. It's not going to stop there. We're going to talk about what you can do as a travel agent. Okay, so this is what I was getting to. Before you even start, before you even have that initial inquiry, you're going to want to make sure that you set up your professional voicemail greeting on your phone. You can have, make sure that you have your name, the name of your business. I even like to incorporate like my website in case they want to go and find out more information until they can get a hold of me. And you want to make sure you're always checking that. You can also have a Google Voice number. We're going to talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. But then another preparation that you want to do is develop a list of qualifying questions. And at the end of this training, for those of you that are here in person, I'm going to leave a link, a Google Doc that has links, lots of links in it. And one of the links will be some ideas for qualifying questions. This is a great example of how we are in business for ourselves, but not by ourselves. And everybody kind of does this in their own way, whatever works best for them, right? So some people like to have one form and it includes everything in it, gives them all the information of everything. Some people like to have a form specifically for cruises and another form specifically for maybe flights and hotels, and maybe one for Europe, maybe one for Disney or whatever. If you have a certain niche, you might want to have one just specifically for that. Um, but you can do it however you want. And in the page I'm going to supply, they do have lots of different ideas for qualifying your customers. Qualifying your customers too is very important because it's going to weed out some of those people that might just be, sorry, that might just be fishing for prices, right? All right. Sorry about that. My I was losing my voice there. So yeah, so you want to weed them out. So asking those really good qualifying questions can help you with that. One really good qualifying question that can weed out those people is, what's the purpose of your trip? If they have a specific purpose for that trip, you probably know that they're really interested in booking something. Okay, so yeah, this talks about you can have the land and or cruise combined, and you just make it work with, what works best for you. Now, in the TAA website, which is the Travel Access Academy website, there are the different steps. And if you go to step 3, so sorry, my throat. If you go to step 3, there's some great videos. So how to qualify your clients there's one that Joanne has done for us. There's another one that is Google Forms overview. So that one is another one that's also on step 3 in your travel access academy. I don't know why my voice is not working today. Okay, so Google Voice. What is Google Voice? Google Voice is a telephone service that provides free phone numbers for Google users. Um, if you go to, I'm going to just show real quick how you can do this. I like to use Google Voice because I didn't necessarily want my phone number out there for everyone. So if you go to the 9 little dots and then you scroll down, there's a place that you click on voice. And then you just walk through the process of it. And this is mine that is on there. So, okay. So that is a free number. You can get text from it. You can get calls from it. You can also use it from your laptop or computer, and you get voicemails as well from it. Um, and you can also decide when you're placing a call if you want to place the call from your personal number or if you want to place it from your Google Voice number. So that's also another nice option. And you don't have to use this, it's totally optional, but if you don't want to share your personal information, then that's a good option to use. Okay, moving on. All right, so now you've done your prep work a little bit before and you have the initial client contact. Um, we're going to talk about that initial client contact. We're going to talk about booking the trip, and then we're going to talk about it doesn't stop there. So no matter what stage you're at, you always want to build rapport with your clients. You want to do this by either emailing or calling them on the phone. You can also send a quote request form, like an inquiry form, to your clients to get some of those initial questions, and information for you. And you want to qualify the clients. Again, that's very important. We talked about that a little bit before, how you want to, kind of know what is their purpose for their trip. That can help you weed out some of those people that, are just looking for um, prices. I will say this though, if somebody is calling and they do just want prices, I always looked at it as, you know what, it's a way for me to get to know the suppliers better and to just get in there and practice, right? So whether the people booked the trip or not, I always thought of it as just like another learning opportunity. So I tried not to, get frustrated if every single person didn't book. It was just more ways for me to learn. There's also a sales class in the back office. That's Mike Archer's sales class, and it talks about client relationships and education. So that's another great resource to learn more ways, to keep that rapport with your clients. All right, then you always want to make a commitment to your client. I like to say it kind of like keeps the ball rolling, right? So whenever you talk to them, you always want to set up when's the next time you're going to talk to them. So at the end of that initial consultation, you're going to want to make a promise to deliver a quote to them, right? By a specific date. So if give yourself at least 1 to 2 days, or if you know you're going to be busier, you might need to take a few extra days, whatever, but you need to at least make a commitment to when you're going to deliver that quote. And then it's always better to be early, be earlier rather than be late, right? So make sure you deliver that quote on time. And then you want to schedule a phone call to review the quote together, because whatever your quote is, it's probably going to be like a lot of information, right? You're going to be giving them some different options. And so you want to go over that quote with them. So make sure you make that commitment so that your customer too knows when you're going to be talking again. Next, you're going to want to research, right? So now we're putting together a package that's going to be a good match for them. You're going to use some of the vendors that you've been learning about or working with. And, everybody kind of has their own favorite vendors or whatever. So again, you do what works for your business. So in Bootcamp Part 4, there is a big spreadsheet that they give to the people that attend live, and they that talks about a lot of the vendors, and it's a really nice resource for knowing what vendors to use for what kinds of trips. If you're just starting out, Vax and Expedia Tap are two really good suggestions to just kind of start with. Both of them, you can do flights and hotels along with transfers. Um, they just have a lot of different options that you can look at. You can do multi-city, you know, some different options with those. And then once you learn a little more about a lot of the different suppliers, you might want to mix and match depending on what fits best for your customers. For the cruise lines, you're going to want to learn about all the different cruise lines, but there is a resource that we use that's called Cruise Complete, and it is an Agent Universe. And Agent Universe was one of the first suppliers that you signed up with. And if you are not familiar with Cruise Complete, I can help you out with knowing how to get that. You do have to send an email to Archer asking to have access to that. But what's really nice about Cruise Complete is that you can compare all the different cruise lines and see the prices and the itineraries and whatever, the different ships that they have available for different dates. So it's a really nice resource if you're not really sure exactly which cruise line your customers want to go with. If you do know what cruise line, then you can go specifically to, that cruise line booking portal. And even with the Cruise Complete, going back to Cruise Complete, you want to use it as a tool to compare them, but then once you know which cruise line you're going to choose, which one your customers want to go with, you'll go to that actual booking site to book it through that through those vendors. You won't actually book it through Cruise Complete. It's more of just a resource to compare all of them. Okay, and then there are trainings for all of these that are available on the Travel Access Academy, sorry, website. All right, and then where to find help if you are working on your quote and you're not really sure what to do. You can always reach out to your mentor. That's always a great option. You can reach out to other travel agents either through Discord or some of the Facebook groups, and you can ask, questions there. A lot of different people are always willing to help. Um, you can also look on the Travel Access Academy website. In step 2, they have booking start to finish. So there's another option for you to go through and look through that. They also have an Expedia Tap training, and they have a Vax training, and those are in step 5 under the advanced tab. So vendors, you can get some more training on those two specific vendors in the Travel Access Academy website. Okay, so now you're creating the quote. You want to make sure that you are branding your quote with your brand, right? If you send a quote directly from one of the suppliers, there's a chance that it could have like Archer's information on it, or say that it's being booked, through Archer, even though you're the agent that's booking it. So a lot of times you want to copy and paste that information either into a Google Docs, which again, there's training on that in the Travel Agent Academy website. Under step 3, there's one that has Google Docs. You can also use um, Canva. I'm not sure. Oh, here it does say down here, Canva. Yeah. Canva is another great free option to make really nice designs for quotes. They have templates, and you can, add stuff, add just again, copy and paste all the information in to make a quote. Or you can also use Adobe Express. I'm not familiar with that one, but it's another option. Okay, so then you're going to want to provide 2 to 3 hotel options if you're looking at a land trip. And then this says 1 to 2 cruise options if you're looking at a cruise travel. I guess it depends on how many there are available. If there's more than, I usually like to send 3 of everything, unless there's just not, those options available. So depends on, I guess, their dates and what they're exactly wanting, what stops and stuff. All right, so then after you've created that quote, you're going to want to finalize all the prices, make sure everything's set, and then send that quote. You can also include the credit card authorization form with that quote so that if they like it, then they can just go ahead and authorize the payment and you can get it done that way. And there is a training on that, completing it in the TAA website also. We're going to talk a little more about that in a future slide. Okay, finalizing the details. You're going to want to make a phone call to your customers to discuss and clarify any of the information from the quote, right? Make sure that everything's set. Everything they want is in there. Go over different options with them if you need to, whatever. So you're going to revise it, you're going to resend it, and you always want to follow up, right? If you're doing a cruise booking, a lot of the cruise lines will let you hold the booking anywhere from like 1 day, maybe even up to a week. So that's always a great option. You do have to have their name, their birthday, and an email address to hold those bookings. You have to have the name and birthdays of every guest. And you also want to confirm they are ready to book. And then you're going to want to acquire that completed credit card authorization form. All right, we're going to talk about that a little bit more. There is the credit card authorization form is in the back office and it is like fillable. You can put in whatever information you need and then you can send it. I always like to, let me go back. I always like to show that when I first started off, I used a program called um, sign request, I think is what it was called. Let me look it up. Let me see. I'm gonna find that for you guys. I can put that in the chat. I think that's what it's called. Signrequest.com. So this was a great free resource and you just put in the information, it turns it into a PDF, and then you put in the email that you want to send it to, and it sends it to the customer to sends it to the customer for them to sign. So I'm going to put that in here, sign request.com. All right. Okay, did I lose my presentation? I did. All right, here we go. So now we are ready to move on. Next, your customers are excited. They're ready to book the trip. They're sold and ready to pay. So now is the meat and the potatoes. No. Uh, Okay, so we already kind of talked about holding the reservation with the vendor. When you make the reservation, you can hold it. Some of them will allow you to. Usually, if there's flights involved, they won't let you hold it. So you just have to see if you can. And again, you have to have the travelers' names, date of birth, email. Citizenship is very important for the cruise lines. You have to know what their citizenship is. And then, yes, make sure that you keep the deposit due dates in mind because it could be later that day it has to be paid, the deposit, or maybe, in 2 days the deposit has to be made. So you just want to make sure that you know when does it have to be paid by so that you can keep in contact with your customer. And again, that's just for the deposit. All right, so you want to send them the credit card authorization form. Um, Anyone that is making a payment towards the reservation, anyone's credit card that you're going to charge, you want to make sure that you have a credit card authorization form for them. It's kind of like a way for you to cover your own, cover yourself, CYA, right? So you just want to have that for every single time you're going to make that payment with their card. And then once you have it, you're going to make the payment through your supplier, right? Um, okay, and this says while you're on the phone with the client, in case there's any issues. I mean, there are times I've run into times when, the person has some kind of their bank has put some kind of fraud thing on there, like if it's a high amount, $2,000, $3,000, amount, that's kind of a red flag. So they have to just approve it. They might get a text message or something saying that, they approve the charge. Or sometimes people will have limits on their card, like how much they can put on there at one time, or whatever. So if the client's on the phone with you, that you can maybe alleviate that quickly. If not, you just have to get back in touch with your client and let them know. And then, sometimes there is a little bit of back and forth. So yeah, this can be a whole process. And I feel like with my customers, a lot of times they get excited, they contact me, I start working on the stuff. And then by the time, once you've gotten it all together and you're getting back with them, life gets crazy, life happens and stuff. And then they get busy, and that initial excitement is sometimes not there. So you have to kind of keep that momentum going and keep the wheels spinning. That's why it's really important to like have that next date and next time set when you're going to contact them. Okay, so now you've made the payment on behalf of your customer and you're going to get a confirmation. You're going to want to make sure that you email the client the confirmation, right? Once that deposit has been made, you want to make sure they know all the trip components, they know what the amount was paid, and then if there is any remaining balance, and then make sure you let them know too the due date. But you're going to kind of keep track of that to help ease the stress for your customers. Now, that confirmation that you sent them is not an itinerary. It's just basically telling them that, the payment was made. All right, next we're going to talk about after the booking process. So, finalize the booked travel. As soon as you've made the booking, you want to immediately fill out the commission tracking form. All right, and if you have your new agent digital binder, you have the link right on there, which is really nice. You just click on it and it takes you right to the place to find the commission tracking forms. And there's also videos for you to watch the how to fill out the new tracking forms. So make sure you do that in the, again, Travel Access Academy website. You also want to fill out a raffle form, right? You'll get put into a drawing to win prizes, which is very exciting for everyone. And you can find those raffle forms in the boot camps. We talk about them. They're also on the TAA site, and you can find them in Discord. Usually they're pinned to the in the different the chat rooms in the Discord. So we try to put them everywhere to let people know, so you can make sure you get them. You're also going to want to complete any vendor rewards programs. The paper that I'm going to give you, the Google sheet that I'm going to give you, the Google form, it has almost a full page of vendor rewards programs and the links that go with them. So it's really, really handy. And you do want to make sure that you take advantage of those reward programs because you can get like gift cards, you can get points towards your travel to get money off of your future travel. So there's different things. You definitely want to take advantage of those. You can get on the cruise lines, well, that's with CLIA, but you can get onboard credit and some different things. So you definitely want to make sure you do that. Um, and again, those are, you can look in Bootcamp Part 4, the TAA site, and the links page that I'm going to give you. And then make sure you share your great news with your mentor because they want to help celebrate your bookings, anything that you do, right? We want to help celebrate with you. So don't forget to share it. Tell someone. Oh, I got out of full mode, but here we go. We'll get back in there. All right. A note on forms. There's lots of different forms, right? What are they? Okay, we're going to talk about commission tracking form. That's the one where you're going to get paid, right? You're going to get paid your commission. That one is very important. You want to get paid. So currently, the form allows multiple items in one reservation. So again, you want to watch that training on how to do that. Okay. If it's, one person, one family, and they're doing a cruise and a hotel and a transfers, you can put all three of those travel components onto one commission tracking form all together with the same person. Okay. But with the credit card authorization form, you might have to have multiple credit card authorization forms because you want to have a credit card authorization form every single time you're going to charge their card. So if you're putting it all together in one vendor, you might be able to do it all in one. But if you're doing like a hotel separate from the cruise, separate from the transfer, you want to have a credit card authorization form for each time you're charging that card. Now, that is not the case for Evo Plus or other wholesale vendors, right? Those you're not getting paid commission through the supplier. You're not getting paid commission through Archer. You're charging them a service fee because you're letting them use your wholesale price, right? So your commission is going to be that service fee. So that would be a separate form. But again, you do want to have a credit card authorization form for that, but you don't submit a commission tracking form. Okay, let's look at an example for an example trip, right? You're booking a Carnival cruise and a pre-cruise hotel through RoomRes. Um, John and Jane are going on this cruise, okay? John pays half of the cruise, his half of the cruise, and he's going to pay for the hotel in full. He's taking care of that. Jane is paying for her half of the cruise. So let's talk about those forms. The commission tracking form, you're going to have one commission tracking form. You can put multiple travelers and then you can put multiple travel components, right? So you can make sure you put one travel component as the cruise, another travel component as the hotel, but that all is together in one commission tracking form. And then you submit it. Make sure you submit it because I just went in and I was looking and I had one that I hadn't submitted and I thought I submitted it, but I don't know what happened. So make sure that when it's complete that you've gone all the way through the full process and you've hit the submit button. And I think it even lists it and says submitted now, which is really nice. Um, but for the credit card authorization forms, for this example, you're going to need one credit card authorization form for John, one for the Carnival Cruise for John, and one for the room res for John, right? Because he's paying half of the cruise and and the hotel in full. And for Jane, you're going to need one for Jane for her portion of the cruise. Okay, so I hope that helped and makes sense. All right, keeping track all of these dates and important events that are going to be happening. You want to make sure that you're using a calendar or a planner to keep track of these important dates, right? After you've booked um, the trip, make sure that you add the dates of the trip to your calendar, right? You want to know when your clients are traveling. That's very important. You also want to make sure that you add the final payment due date onto your calendar. And you want to cushion it by at least 14 days so that you have time to get in contact with the customer. They have time to get back in touch with you. They can make any arrangements that they might need to make sure that that payment, is available and ready to make. So you just want to always give yourself plenty of time. I also, whenever there's a payment that's like due on a Saturday or Sunday, I don't like to wait until the weekend because, sometimes places are not open. You can't get a hold of the banks or whatever. So always give yourself that extra cushion time to get those finalized. And I was going to say this, it's not written in here, but a lot of times the final payment is due about 90 days ahead of the trip, especially for cruises. Those are due 90 days before. And that's a important date because obviously they have to make that final payment, but they also can download the cruise apps and start booking things in the cruise lines apps, like if they want to add on the drink packages or even make reservations for dinner. They want to go ahead and get in there and do that as soon as they can because some of those things fill up. 45 days prior to travel, I like to send the clients activities and tours that they may be interested in. And this is to upsell and to earn you more commission, right? So you can always add in your Viator link anywhere. You can put it in the initial, quote. You can send it again in this 45-day email or however you want to follow up with your customers and put in that Viator link because they can do, you can also put in your golden ticket if they want to do a football game or go to the theater for a show or whatever. But those are ways that you can add extra things to their tour. To their trip, add tours to their trip. And then again, you're upselling and earning more commission. 30 days prior to travel, you're going to want to send the client the final itinerary. Usually, most of the vendors, you have that information at that point. And if you don't, you can always, update it as you get it. But you definitely want to send it 30 days prior. Make sure names are correct. Make sure all the dates are correct. Just dot your T's and cross your I's. No, that wasn't right. Cross your T's and dot your I's. But anyway, you just want to make sure that you have reached out and you have that everything in place. Because now we're getting, close. 14 days prior to travel. You can call the hotel or the cruise line transportation to confirm the reservation. You definitely want to notify them of any special occasions. Are they celebrating an anniversary, a birthday? A lot of places, you can do something special for your clients. You also want to request any amenities for your clients. Again, that's optional, but it puts a nice little touch on from you and it sort of it helps to solidify why your clients booked with you because you're adding some of those extra little things. Excuse me. And then the night prior to travel, you're going to want to send your clients a bon voyage message saying, have a great trip. I'm here if you need anything. I always like to tell my customers, I'm here before, during, and after your trip. So they can always reach out if anything's going on. And it's not written on this page, but I like to send out even a week before the trip. I send out a link for a weather update just for them to check the weather because I know for me, when I travel, I always like to look ahead and say, okay, what's the weather going to be like? What's the how do I need to pack? Speaking of packing, at 30 days prior, I send ultimate packing list also to my customers. So those are just some of the extra little things that I do that I've learned along the way from other wonderful travel agents out there. So, okay, it doesn't stop there, right? These are some of your best travel agent practices. Show your clients that you care. 1 to 3 days after returning from their travel, you're going to want to send a welcome home message. I like to send something that asks for them to leave a review on my Google business page, because that just gives you more, helps with people searching for you, right? So, or you can have them leave a review on your Facebook or other places that you might have available. Always ask for permission to use photos from their trip. And then make sure you post stuff like that, oh, my customers just came back from this fabulous trip, or if they're going ahead of time and you have their permission, you can put stuff on there that, your customers are traveling. And that just, again, shows people that you're working, and for them to remember to book with you, right? Okay. You also want to write a thank you letter to your customers, thanking them for booking the trip with you. I like to do this sometimes during the week they're gone. I mail it out like during the week they're gone so that when they get back, they have this thank you letter in their mailbox from me. And I always include my business cards, and I include gift certificates for like future travel, usually onboard credit for for cruise lines. I can give them that. And yes, I like to handwrite it, but you can do an email is also fine. Either way, whatever works for you. It's your business. All right, so this was Boot Camp Part 3. I want to thank everybody for coming. For those of you that were here, I'm going to put the list of bonus resources in, and I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, and then we can the open up for questions if anyone has anyone. So thanks for watching. I hope everybody learned something. Reach out anytime. I'm always available to help. I'm happy to help anyone that needs help or has any questions. I love to help, everybody else. So just give me a shout in Discord. All right, thanks.